So what we'd like to do now is we'd like to play exactly what Jim Rome had to say here, and then we're going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to that there.
Did you see what happened to the flag bearer yesterday?
Who, me?
You. It's almost too good to be true. It's actually pretty hilarious. An all-time moment of LeBagginess for LeBag. And obviously, that would be saying something. I'm not saying it's all his fault, but he did bag it up at a rather baggy time. In case you missed it, it happened at the very end of that head caving that Team USA put on Brazil in the Olympic quarterfinal yesterday. Braun checked out with 3 minutes left and a 34-point lead. And as he went and found a seat on the end of the bench, he heard a rising swell of cheers from the crowd. Naturally, he thought it was for him. Naturally. He looks up on the scoreboard and he sees himself. And then he knows it's for him. And he heard the cheers, and they were getting more and more aggressive and more raucous. Naturally, he had the only thought that King James was ever going to have in that moment. Naturally, LeBag did the only thing that anyone who knows anything about LeBag would expect him to do. Think that they were all cheering for him, that they were all there for him. One small problem. They were not cheering for him.
The minutes that you do play, that you play at a high level, and he said he thinks everybody's done that really from the exhibitions all the way through. And we've seen that again tonight as this crowd is responding. Somebody just stood up. The question is,
it's an Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah. As Caboclo slams inside.
I can't see. Is that the swimmer?
It could be Marchand. I think it's Marchand in here. It is.
It is.
Yeah, of course it was Leon. Of course that was for Leon. Of course that was not for LeBag. Man, that is so brutal. He's crowning himself. He's crowning himself, and nobody's even looking at or caring about him. Man, that is beyond awkward. It's just embarrassing. And then you've got people clipping it and putting it out on social media, and then it's even more embarrassing, and it's even more humiliating. Like, of course the locals were not going that insane for LeCap. I mean, I'm sure they like him just fine. But they definitely were not going to lose their minds because he checked out of that game with a 34-point lead. The only person who thinks that LeCap is that important is LeCap. But I do have to give him this much. The dude did get screwed by like this perfect storm of awkward. He checks out. He's feeling the high of another truly great performance. And by the way, it was another truly great performance. Then he hears the cheers. Then he looks up. Then he sees himself on the scoreboard. And he's him, right? So of course he thinks it's for him. It's all too perfect. It's almost like he was set up. It's almost like Leon was waiting for LeCap to come out of the game before making that grand entrance on his own. And you had this perfect storm of awkwardness and baggery.
So you heard what Jim Rome had to say. Now, from what I could discern, it sounded like he was calling him LeCap or whatever it is. I don't know what's up with that. And then there's another article that I want to quickly read from here. This is from Sportskeeda. And it says, LeBron James crowns himself while misinterpreting cheers from Olympian Leon Marchand. It says LeBron James had a solid outing against Brazil today. Team USA won by 35 points to advance to the semifinals of the 2024 Paris Olympics tournament. James played a big chunk of the first half and had a couple of minutes in the second half during the runaway win. However, LeBron's most curious moment during the game didn't occur when he was on the court. The Lakers superstar similarly thought fans were cheering his name while they gave it up for French swimmer Leon Marchand. With just over 2 minutes left on the clock, James was spotted by the camera, and he didn't miss the chance to crown himself and let everybody know who the king is. Marchand was visibly confused when the camera turned on him. Fans were heard chanting, "Leon, Leon," which could have been confused for LeBron. Anyway, That's what that article said. Now, what's interesting about Jim Rome here? Jim Rome is someone I hadn't heard from in a while, right? So I actually Googled him to hear what he's up to these days. And Jim Rome is actually making serious bank. According to the information I got here, Jim Rome is actually, his salary is $30 million. He's a sports commentator for CBS. So he's making a lot of money. He seems to have a net worth of over $110 million. So Jim Rome seems to be doing his thing. So that's what's going on with Jim Rome. Let's get back to this story here. What are my thoughts on this? I think it's hilarious. I really do think it's hilarious, man. I mean, come on, like, think about how awkward it must have been. Think about his teammates sitting there like, yo, because they must have been watching like, yo, son, they're not cheering for you, bro. They cheering for son that just walked into the building, and it must have been a very, very awkward moment. And look, I watch various creators that are pro LeBron, anti LeBron, and one of the things that people that are anti LeBron, shout out to my man, Two Raw for Sports. Two Raw for Sports really believes that LeBron James is a narcissist. He truly, truly believes that. He really, really believes that he's a narcissist, and he likes to make everything about him.